Hey friendos, welcome to ShareTreck, and today we're going to be diving into one of the biggest tech giants in the world, Google, also known as Alphabet. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome back, friendos. So Google, from groundbreaking AI investments to impressive financial growth, there is a lot to unpack here. So whether you're a tech enthusiast, an investor, or just curious about the future of AI and technology, you're in the right place. So let's see what's happening with Google. First of all, a little bit of history with Google. To be honest, I am haven't been too impressed with Google for a long period of time. I always thought that Google was one of those companies where it's going to be overtaken. It's going to be overdone by things like ChatGPT and other sorts of AI. I thought it was going to be one of those companies that is going to be taken over by the AI wave. And oh boy, from this earnings call, I am very happy I found where I was wrong. A few months ago, we did a video on companies like Netflix and companies like Amazon, which I was happy to find out I had my own biases and I was wrong. And I am happy I found out I was wrong before I overlooked a very good investment. So, Google or Alphabet has a very fascinating history. Many of us might know a lot about some of the great Google purchases and acquisitions that really made them successful, like YouTube, Motorola, Waze, Android, DoubleClick, Nest, and Fitbit. It has also had a slew of failures that it made itself. Google Glass, Google Plus, Google Hangouts, Stadia, Google Video, all these didn't quite hit the mark. But it's going very hard all in on this Gemini and a few other technologies. So it'll be really, really intriguing to see where Gemini and where the future of Google goes and if it remains a powerhouse that it is. So, first of all, talking a little bit about the financials, Alphabet reported growth and business revenue. And first of all, it said that margins are going to fluctuate, particularly in terms of advertising. Their traffic acquisition cost, the amount of money that they spend to acquire traffic, they said is going to fluctuate heavily and is going to affect their margins quite a bit. Their paid cost per click ads are also set to fluctuate. And they also indicated that one of their major risks is currency risk, but they have a program to hedge against that called the Foreign Exchange Risk Management Program. So it's good that they're identifying some of these issues ahead of time and they're taking steps ahead. And they're telling you that there's going to be fluctuations in terms of margins. And I'm going to let you know why that is because of spending. Capital expenditure spending, capital expenditure spending is going to increase quite heavily because the company says it's focusing on technological infrastructure, particularly in terms of AI products and services. Costs like cost of goods sold, research and development, and sales and marketing are set to increase quite a bit. However, the G&A, general administrative costs, those are coming down. They cite that seasonal factors such as internet net usage and advertising spend is also impacting their performance, but I'm not too concerned about that. What I am concerned about is some of their technological and AI infrastructure. So we know that, oh, by the way, they say that because of tax increases and legal fees, there's they expect to be under a little more regulatory scrutiny by governments. So they're putting aside a little bit of money for that. In fact, last time they actually spent less on this. So it's probably good that they're putting money ahead right now rather than forward. Though I did also hear, or I kind of deduced from their earnings call and from their earnings conference that all costs, including buybacks and dividends, will change. So I kind of see that as in don't expect any buybacks or dividend increases from Google quite yet because they're spending a lot of money on this infrastructure, a lot of money on this AI. Talking about AI, talking about infrastructure. AI is expanding more into search. which is going to allow Google users to ask questions and use things like Google Lens AI to just ask questions while taking videos with their lens. What that kind of means is while you're using the Google software, while you're using the Google things, there's AI right inside, built right in. And the circuit to search AI, it's having the Gemini service input right in. Gemini, by the way, has 4 sizes, and there are a few um, that are specifically for developers. And those developers, they say, are pretty happy with it. So the Google CEO, Sundar Pichai, mentioned that soon, and this is the example he used, soon you're going to be able to ask Google, what did I have at that restaurant in Paris last year? And hearing that kind of made me a little, first of all, I thought, why would I care what I had in like some restaurant in some Paris, Ontario a couple months ago? But I thought, what about the average person? That might be quite intriguing for the average person. So hearing that, hearing that kind of made me a little bit intrigued and optimistic. They also say they're set to set up a new data center, their first data center in Malaysia, and they're expanding data centers in Iowa, Virginia, and Ohio in America. Their Trillium TPU cloud processing unit, they also say, offers 5 times more computing performance and brings a 67% energy efficiency. So good job with that efficiency and effectiveness. They say that they're using the NVIDIA Blackwell chips to create a capacity to push AI and double their core model for AI. And this confused me when not Ruth, their CFO, as well as Sundar, talked about Google real estate investments. I Googled around and yeah, I Googled around and I still can't find out what they're talking about with their Google real estate. So I wish they expanded a little further on that. But they say that's going to improve hybrid work. They got great partners like Hitachi, Motorola, KPMG, and especially Oracle. I like hearing them list a whole bunch of these companies because we know from companies' earnings calls like Amazon, companies like NVIDIA, these enterprise companies, they are big spenders. So if they're using your cloud software, they're using your data centers, they're using your AI, you're going to be getting quite a bit of revenue from that. They're also working in AI startups. They got a thing called Trillium and A3 Mega, which are using H100 NVIDIA chips. And they're soon going to be using that Blackwell chip. Companies like Mercado Libre, Zoom, Best Buy are using Google data centers and conversational AI services. So, just summing up the AI thing, it's really, really neat that they say they're going to incorporate Gemini on every level of their searching. Every level of Google is going to have AI built in. So, it's going to be normalized. Every person knows of Google and uses Google, but now we're going to know about Gemini. We're going to know about their AI services. So that's pretty neat. One of the major things and major talking points was actually YouTube. YouTube, oh my goodness, the growth from this sector is monstrous. YouTube, they say, is focusing on empowering subscribers and helping subscribers and advertisers. I like hearing both those names because there's two big revenue groups. They said they had a huge quarter and they still maintain the number one spot in terms of screen watching time. And they said it's now going to be easier for content creators and users to use captions and turn long videos into shorts. In fact, there is a Google event in terms of especially focused on YouTube coming out in August. I'd be intrigued to know what happens with that. And they also say that Pixel phones are going to be incorporating more of the YouTube and more of the AI, particularly Gemini. They say YouTube ads are up 13% year over year, and They also say that YouTube is the most watched platform for 17 months in a row, and they are the most watched platform in terms of all around viewership worldwide, only second only behind Disney. So, way to go, YouTube. Creators are starting to partner up more with the YouTube short space, and their CTV and YouTube are going to they're increasing their advertising ask and advertising spend for those. So that's going to be quite profitable, and I'm happy to hear that. They talk a little bit more about the Pixel phones, which we're going to get into, Waymo, which is their self-driving service, but also the CTV. CTV, they say, is a booming industry and it's going to do very well. They also say shopping videos. Google Shopping is an area which is producing quite a bit of growth and it's going to be big in the future. In terms of subscription and crowd growth, um, first of all, search revenue up 14% year over year with growth in retail and financials. And their cloud growth contributed the biggest contributor to their $18.4 billion revenue. And their, um, pardon me, despite their issues, Google Cloud is up 29%, surpassing the average cloud growth. So amongst all cloud companies, Google is growing at a greater pace. That includes things like your AWS and maybe some of the Microsoft cloud services. Google is growing at a greater pace. And I use Google Cloud. I use the Google Drive. I use Google more frequently than some of those. So I could definitely hear that. Significant growth in subscriptions. And they say that they did see a decline in YouTube TV due to a price increase. When I hear that, I think, hey, maybe this increase in some of these technology services are not as inelastic as we thought, meaning they increased their prices and faced a lot of backlash. And that kind of tells me that, hey, there could be a cap to how much you could increase everything. So it's something to consider for other companies, especially in terms of if we're talking about economics and economic increase or slowdown. Um, Moreover, so I'm just going to jump in a little bit of the financials. Cost of goods sold, they said they did go up because of acquisition costs. They're continuing acquiring. And I like hearing that because Google has a good history of acquiring good companies, not so great a history of making new products. Operating expenses are up a little bit, but that's mainly due to R&D. They are investing a lot in research and development, mainly in their AI field. And this is good. Their free cash flow is very healthily strong, 13.5 billion. There is zero risk of bankruptcy for this company. In fact, they're actually they have enough cash to go around. They're cash rich. This is something that I overheard Ruth, the CFO, talk about. By the way, Ruth, she's a superstar. Like, she was really, really well spoken. So good for her. She said that they were expecting new devices coming in Q4. They're moving that up to Q3. Those are going to come out sooner than expected. So that's something to look out for. And their operating margin right now about 32%, EPS of 1.89. Nice. They spoke about margins and they spoke about hiring. First of all, their margins, they said they're continuing to expand despite all of the spending they're doing. They did say that they decreased the hiring, but now they're going to increase hiring as new graduates like myself are entering the workforce. This was good for me to hear because although they are not hiring as much as they used to, they are still hiring. So hearing things like this makes me kind of good to know about the economy. makes me hear that, hey, maybe we're not going to be entering some slowdown or anything because companies are still hiring, Google's still hiring, and they're still spending. Oh boy, are they spending. No decline in CapEx spend, which to me says this is good for chip companies like Nvidia. They said their investment in Waymo, which is their self-driving car autonomous driving software, has been overall quite positive, and they are going to continue expanding into Waymo. Now this goes into the main part, which is the question and answer period. And this kind of upset me when I was hearing this very long phone call. Sundar Pichai and Philip Schneider, they were asked repeatedly, hey, when are you guys over at Google, or when are you gonna start making some money off AI? They kept dodging the question, and this question was asked over and over again until finally we discovered, hey, there is gonna be a little bit of a slowdown in AI, but they kept dodging the question. However, Ruth stood out, so good for her. Sundar did mention that there's going to be a next wave, which they think is which next wave in their technology, which they think that's mainly going to be adaptive technology and put in more of their devices. I kind of think that maybe they're pumping more into their devices, maybe things like their Google phones or something. They didn't elaborate too much. And they did again talk about that Google real estate, which didn't clarify what that is. Google Gemini integrated into those engineered into those ads. They talked more about that. I think that's going to be great. I also think it's going to be great. And uh, despite the cost cutting, pardon me, despite the cost cutting in terms of hiring and increasing costs in terms of CapEx, their cloud growth, they think, is going to be one of their major, continue to be one of their major sectors of growth, and search is going to be huge. So if I'm going to put everything together, this very, very intriguing call, I was I wasn't very bullish before this call, but hearing some of these things, oh boy, am I happy. What I was initially bearish on is hearing that things like ChatGPT, if the ShareTreck viewer, wanted to find out something on the internet, you would go in and, I don't know, sometimes you might need 10 Google searches to get what you want. ChatGPT and Gemini, they could do that with one. And I saw that as, hey, that's 90% of their revenue and their ads going to go down. They brought this up. The management brought this up, and they said that instead, their search revenue is increasing because of AI. Instead of what I thought was going to decrease, it's actually going up. That is amazing. How they're able to generate revenue from increased searches, and they project for future revenue growth. That is dynamic. Wow. Good for you, Google. You proved me to be the fool, and I'm happy to accept it. I also was very, very happy to hear that they are putting in their AI service into everything, bringing AI to everyone, as I like to say. Alphabet emphasized that their commitment to integrating AI into everything applications, and us being able to just ask Google, hey, what's going on? Where did I eat? What did I eat at that restaurant? How much was my bill? And getting that feedback is going to be so cool and so good for Google products. Their AI efficiency and cost reduction, they're saying that AI is actually reducing costs. And this is crucial to enhance their profitability and sustainability in the future. And YouTube dominance. We're actually on YouTube right now. The fact that YouTube remains the top streaming app and is benefiting from their TV connectivity, attracting more advertisers instead of fewer, with subscription revenue, they say increasing healthily. That is good, and YouTube is going to remain a powerhouse. They also talked about this thing called PMax, Performance Max Ads. It's basically AI for ads, and they said they're going to deliver impressive results, actually 25% more conversations, whatever those are, which are going to increase revenue growth. We talked about that great innovation of incorporating AI on every level of the search. Brilliant move, in my opinion, and is really going to enhance the user experience. Their financials reporting a 32% profit margin, operating margin, and the fact that they're not slowing hiring makes me happy. CapEx does remain high, but this is good news for, I think, companies like Nvidia, because they're going to continue buying those Blackwell chips soon. And Alphabet is planning on continuing their investment, putting another 5 billion in Waymo, their autonomous driving unit. Privacy, and this was, in my opinion, brilliant because we just heard about the unfortunate issue with Cloudflare and Microsoft, which turned off a whole lot of companies. Google said we have the best security service, best privacy service, particularly around cookies, and we have never let anyone down. So, really good timing with that one. So, in conclusion, I am really, really bullish on Google. And I really like their AI, although they did say their AI revenue is slowing down. And with things like high valuations, this could really be a negative for tech stocks. And we can expect a lot of volatility. Though Google's ability to generate revenue using AI and put AI in every sector of their thing, of their searching is really, really cool. But talking about more so the in terms of valuations. So I kind of got this from a variety of sources. I get it from NASDAQ. There's also the option to use Yahoo Finance. There's a whole slew of sources to get this. But what I did was I took Google's, there's also Goog and Google. They're the same company. I took their current price, their current EPS 2024 expected at the end. They're trading on a very low multiple, very nice low PE, actually, in my opinion. Um, Wall Street is expecting an EPS growth of 19%, which will put that at an incredibly cheap PE. However, I went through and looked at some of their other 2025 estimates, and I think a more conservative growth estimate is 13.1 to 14.2. Even if we were to get that 14, it's still trading below the PE of the S&P 500, which is about 1.7. So, in my opinion, that looks quite nice. This company, this major tech giant, which was able to overcome some of the things that I was very scared about, is doing quite well. However, if we were to look at some of the charts, this is the day candles, we're in a downtrend right now. And we are on top of one of the major lines. But because we are in a downtrend, I don't know if there's more further down to go, especially with big factors like the election happening in what, about 3 months? The election happening. So I think that if we were to get an upturn, Google will be a buy. Google will be a very, very intriguing company. And what we learned from that conference is Google spent a lot in CapEx, and they're bringing forward some of their devices, which are set to launch in Q4 to Q3. I think that the next couple quarters are going to be surprising because we're getting some of those early launches, which I don't know if the market is pricing in. And this could be a topic for another video, but I'm a little scared to see a great earnings in Google and the stock is down massively from their peaks after that. So that kind of makes me a little scared. Rogers talked a lot about maybe we're entering somewhat of a sell-off, and I think there could be more to go, but Google, nice company. What do you all think, though? Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate your time and effort. And do you all have Google? Do you have Google in your accounts? And do you think that Google is going to be big in their AI? And do you think there's more up to happen? I think eventually, or more down, especially after the election. I think at post-election, I'm interested in some Google. Thank you for your time, everybody. And may you all have a wonderful time. Stay well and catch you all next time. Goodbye.